fresh out the oven. It's Beyonce Appreciation Hour. I'm Wade.
And I'm Emmett.
Cinema Bums is a podcast where we watch through every single movie in popular film franchises, one each week, to try and track how the storytelling changes over time. Today we are concluding our mini-series, Can You Feel the Bums Tonight?, covering all of the films in the Lion King series. We will fully spoil today's film, but we will not spoil any future entries in the series because there currently are none. Emmett, how are you doing?
I'm doing just wonderfully this evening. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to finally be paying tribute to our queen.
Yes, it's an honor indeed.
Not Florence Pugh, to our Lord and Savior, Beyonce, tonight. I'm doing especially well because today we're honored to have a special guest. The last time we saw him, we were seeing double, talking about Jordan Peele's Us. Today we're just seeing hearts for our queen, Beyonce, and our guest, Cory Simmons. Woo!
Okay, what's good? Oh my god, I'm really excited for this. I don't know, I struggle with saying that I'm a part of the Beehive because the Beehive can be really, really crazy. Mm-hmm. But I do know the name of her security guard, which, I don't know, it doesn't seem like, to me that seems like common knowledge. Like, his name is Jules, or no, Julius. Who's Jules? Is that her nephew? I can't remember. But yeah, Julius. I'm a big fan, admirer of Beyonce, so I'm very humbled to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you here. I've got to say, when we said we were doing Black is King, I was like, there's only one man for the job, and that's Cory. I've got to say that I'm much of the same way. I love Beyonce. I'm probably more into her than anyone that's not in the Beehive, but I'm also not sure if I would call myself in the Beehive, just because I don't know if I've achieved that level of dedication.
Did you pay for a Tidal subscription at one point?
Okay, I did have Tidal at one point.
Okay. Yep.
But I think it was because Lemonade was just on Tidal when it came out, right? So at that time I had Tidal.
Yeah.
I was also on Tidal. Like, my whatever album I put out around there, I put out like on Tidal as well.
Right.
But I didn't buy Ivy Park. And I've never gone and seen her on tour. So I don't know. But I would love to, I just never have.
This is...
Oh my God.
Lauren got this. This is the only thing that I have. I don't actually have... I mean, it is Ivy Park, but it's not like the Icy Park, any of the main drops. I really want...
Right.
I think the Icy Park was my most favorite Ivy Park drop collection because it just... The shoes haven't always been my favorite with Ivy Park, but I did like the shoes a lot with Icy Park. Especially those like snow boot type joints that came in an ice box for PR.
Oh, yeah.
Those are so cool.
I liked like the baby pink ones.
Mm-hmm.
I liked a lot of the pictures, but I did not go out trying to get them myself.
It's hard. And then like I was on the website for the drop and I had stuff in my cart. I had like a hoodie and a hat maybe, and it was smooth like maybe $250, just like, a lot, but like not too much. And when I went to check out, it said like, someone has already bought everything in your cart. And I said, that doesn't make any sense because it was in my cart. I don't get that. And then what I realized, and a friend of mine told me, people will like buy bots to like buy tens, hundreds, or whatever, however many of different things, and will buy them out of stock so they can resell it. Hopefully one day my dreams will come true. Hopefully.
Where are you with Beyonce, Emmett? Are you a member of the Beehive?
I am as yet uninitiated in the Beehive. I have listened to some Beyonce in my day. I would say that, I love the music, but I would not say that I'm like a fan who follows and like knows what's going on.
I would say you're pretty into the music, though. At least I remember the 2013 Beyonce you were very into.
I'm very into like certain stuff, and I'm like really like the stuff that I'm into. I'm very into, and this is true of me and just like across most bands. I don't go in for like knowing about the people very much, and I know that's like a lot of the appeal with her in some way is like her own mystique, her as a character that she's built over time, and like the many different people that she's been And like, I think that's interesting objectively, but I wasn't interested in it as it was happening in my childhood. Maybe it's time to have a Beyonce sans. I think it's probably always time for that. So, yeah.
Always.
Well, did you listen to her as a kid, Emmett? Like, was Destiny's Child played in your house, or was it more recent?
No, it would be more recent. It would be like that 2013 album being like the first one that I got into.
Oh, her self-titled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I would have been like freshman year of college.
Yeah, I think so.
Or sometime during our senior year of high school. So right when I was being exposed to music from my peers as opposed to like mostly just from my folks.
Yeah, for me it was the one before that. It was 4. I was sort of the same thing where it's not that I heard her and didn't like her. I just like didn't really know her growing up. I knew Single Ladies obviously when that came out, but it was the 4 album with Love on Top and Countdown and like all of those that really got me into her in a big way.
That's my favorite Beyonce album.
Oh.
Personally, I think it's her best. Maybe not like production wise. I know like Lemonade is just brilliant, but there's just something special about 4. It just, because that was the first time she like had broken away from management. She really was just like a self-starter at that point and took control, and you could really hear it in that whole album. So good.
So where did it begin for you, Cory? When did you get into Beyonce?
Oh God, I'd say in the womb. No, there was a period of time when I was 7, 8. I had like a Walkman and a bunch of CDs. I would listen to Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Destiny's Child, and a little bit of Beyonce. And I kind of put all of those women on the same pedestal. And there was just a point of me having to decide, okay, who am I going to stand for the rest of my life? And I think when it really happened for me, it happened multiple times. Obviously, Crazy in Love is just like such an iconic moment with the white t-shirt and the blue jeans and the red pumps and just everything about that. But specifically, was it I Am Sasha Fierce, the video for Sweet Dreams, when that dropped, that was when I sold my soul to Beyonce, because that was when people made like the Illuminati videos and would play they played Single Ladies backwards, and they were like, she's saying worship the devil, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I do worship the devil at this point. Because this is some good music. I don't know about you guys, but I did believe in it for a second, like just at least 1 second. I was like, maybe this is real. But you know what? I can look past it. It's like if people can look past Scientology. I know we talked about that the last time.
We did, yes.
If people can look past that, maybe we can look past Illuminati. I don't know.
Okay.
But
that's fair.
Yeah.
Emmett and I feel like we've tried to just avoid like getting too much into the uncomfortable parts of the people we talk about, because I feel like it's a slippery slope once you start going down.
So wait, what do you mean? Do you mean that Beyonce is in fact a member of the Illuminati? What is the rumor? Can you unpack this for me? Can you explain this? Because I remember hearing about this, and I remember the whole I remember it somewhat being related to the We Killed Tupac that's supposedly buried in the track on Watch the Throne, and like all of that. But what's the story?
I low-key feel like the whole Illuminati scandal was a stunt / also a movement like just started by conservative, right-wing, like really, nasty kind of racist people, because you notice a lot of people accused of Illuminati are black, except for like Lady Gaga, but then she's a big LGBTQ advocate. So I think there was just a point in specifically the late 2000s, early 2010s, where artists would just like lean into the Illuminati thing. I mean, we know this, and they would like the Rockefeller sign, and they would intentionally put those images forth, because all press, is good press. Like it doesn't matter. But there's no Illuminati. I mean, if there was, I still think that Scientology is worse. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be real with you. Beyonce is not in no Illuminati, but I did watch those videos, and I was a little bit concerned back then.
I feel like there are people who, like, we just know as fact are as rich and powerful as the rumor is that the Illuminati is, right? You know, and we don't freak out about them.
Yeah, speaking of rich and powerful, do you want to talk, and like esoteric stuff, you want to talk about how many different outfits Beyonce had in this video? This is unreal. Unreal. What?
First of all, I read 69 unique costumes for Beyonce.
Unreal.
Nice. So many of my notes are just literally descriptions of what she's wearing. Yeah, I said not since the Star Wars prequel trilogy has someone just written a blank check to the costume department and said, go crazy.
Do what thou wilt.
It's unbelievable. I believe they're all African/black designers, right?
I think so from everything I read. And I know it was it's a huge team that made this. But it was like different costume designers and different headwear designers and different set designers.
The part where she's on a horse with horns on her head, smoking a pipe. That's just like one of the outfits that stood out to me. That one. There's one where she's in an all glittery outfit. It's amazing. She's on a beach. She's in an all glittery outfit.
Yes.
The one at the funeral where she's got the diamond face paint as like a mask-esque
on the lower half of
her face. Yeah.
There's that one guy with the green body paint. That's really cool.
There's so many. There's so many.
There's that song that starts in like the multiple frames, and you think at first it's a visual effect, and then you realize, no, it's actually 3D, all of these frames that they've built into this person.
Insane.
So to briefly switch over to the other side of this, Cory, what's your history with The Lion King?
I honestly don't remember the first time I saw The Lion King. It kind of feels like a rite of passage, especially as like younger millennials, older Gen Zers. It's kind of just something. The Lion King was a part of a wave of Disney movies that it was just like, I don't know how, but I just know this movie. I know it so well, and everyone around me knows it. And I really felt attached to it when I saw it live. I think I saw it at the Kennedy Center.
Oh, wow.
And the musical, it's a brilliant show. Oh, God, what's the name of the director?
Julie Taymor?
Yeah. Like, her vision, it's very memorable. Just a lot of, like, everything from that sunset that they make from that, like, paper material. Like, it's just, yeah. But my favorite Lion King movie, though, I will say, is Lion King 1.5.
Nice.
Speak on it a little bit. I don't know about y'all, because it's just the story is great. The first one, you need it because it sets the basis, it sets the foundation for everything. But like 1.5 is just, it's so funny. It's hilarious. I want to rewatch it.
It holds up.
My favorite of all the ones that we watched so far.
Yes.
I feel like this movie that we just watched is kind of in a different category. I don't even feel like it's fair to rank these movies next to like any of the animated movies and this movie next to each other, because this is just a totally different thing. This is like an art film. I don't know. This is amazing.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the 2019 remake with Beyonce voicing Nala?
So I never finished it.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. I had high hopes for it because Donald Glover, Beyonce, like so many good, wonderful people in there. And then I saw it on Disney Plus. I started it. I don't want to be negative because it clearly took a lot of work to do what they did. But I just was not really into specifically the animation style. I found it really hard to connect to the characters. It wasn't giving what it was supposed to have gave. But they look nice. They look really realistic. But I haven't finished that one. It didn't offer anything new, and that's the trouble with some of these remakes. It's like I feel like you need to offer something new when you remake such a classic, staple Disney movie. Like with the new Little Mermaid coming up, you have Halle Bailey. You know, a black girl is playing Ariel. Like that's really phenomenal. Lion King is really hard because it's been done. It's honestly been done a lot of different ways, with the sequels, with the series, with the musical, with the Lion King experience, with everything. We've seen so many iterations. It was a great challenge for them to remake it, but I do think the best thing to come out of it was Beyonce's The Gift and this passion project, Black is King.
I think we feel the same as you about that.
No, I think that was, well said about that.
And I agree with you. And I remember watching Black is King last summer when it came out and being like, oh, now I kind of get why Beyonce did The Lion King. Like, I felt like it clarified that whole weird situation for me. Because I also feel like she got a lot of flack for her vocal performance in the film.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
Which is not as bad as I feel like people make it out to be.
No, it isn't. No.
When we rewatched it, we both thought that it wasn't as bad as it is often maligned as. But I feel like for all of that she did, like, this makes sense that she was doing all of this with it, you know?
I feel like people were just pissed that she didn't save that movie. Because she didn't save that movie. And, like, I think people believed in her power to save that movie. And she didn't quite. And I think people took that out on her unfairly. I don't think it's her fault that movie doesn't work by any means. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she kind of gets blamed for it because she's the... People
always find a way, or try to find a way to, like, bring down Beyonce or, like, come for her. And... I sound like I'm in the Beehive, but, like, to defend Beyonce, like, she really objectively does very little wrong, and that's not just trying to defend her or arguing. It literally is just fact. You can't really find too much artistically, creatively, personally, objectively to come for this woman. Like, she does her job, she does what she needs to do, and she has the receipts to prove. Like, we'll probably talk about more later. Like, I know there was issues with the streaming of Black is King and getting that to Africa and things of that nature on the subject of like Beyonce criticism. But I don't want to get too far ahead of that, but on the subject of Beyonce coming to her defense, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that I think it's hard to have a better cast than The Lion King 2019 did. And if they couldn't save it, like, the problem is not with the actors.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
But to Cory's point, and I guess I'm also going to sound like I'm in the Beehive here, but I feel like the one criticism that I was reading people had with this movie, with Black is King, is about how it doesn't really feature, or the album specifically doesn't really feature any East African musicians, which is where a lot of the locale of The Lion King is inspired by. It's mostly, I think, South African artists on the soundtrack. And, like, I hear that, and I don't want to minimize that, but I think to Cory's point, like, no one is having that discussion about anyone else because no one else is making art like this that is, like, so primarily featuring African music and bringing it to Disney Plus, like, the mainstream ubiquity, you know? So
right.
It's like, absolutely people can and should have criticisms of it, but I think it's, frankly, a little nitpicky when we're talking about someone who's doing more than anyone else is.
And this project landed her, like, in the Hall of Fame. She literally is the most awarded artist, Grammy awarded artist, or just, awarded artist of all time. Like, wow. The proof is in the pudding, y'all.
Well, let's dive into it here. To track the timeline on this a little bit, literally to explain what this is that we're talking about today. So, The Lion King, which we talked about last week, came out July 19th, 2019. The same day, Beyonce put out an album which was called The Lion King, The Gift, which was her basically collaborating with a lot of other African artists to make a soundtrack inspired by the storyline of The Lion King. Very similar to what Kendrick Lamar did with the Black Panther soundtrack he made, which was like a whole original, basically an original Kendrick Lamar album with a bunch of collabs. This was basically an original Beyonce album about The Lion King with a bunch of collabs. And I've got to say that when it came out at the time, I definitely paid less attention to it than I should have, because it only came out in this like Disney version that had these little 15-second clips of the movie in between every song. So the album, as it was originally released, had like 30-something tracks. And it was like between every song, you would hear like a little clip of like young Simba just like taken from the movie, like a little dialogue segment, and then it would go to the next song.
Oh, that's weird. So it wasn't available to just like stream or buy somewhere else?
I mean, you could stream that version. You could have made like a playlist of just the songs. That was sort of what it is. I don't know. Did you listen to it when it first came out, Cory?
I actually did. I would try to shuffle it, and I got so irritated whenever I kept hearing the dialogue from the movie because I just wanted the music. But I've pretty much listened to it since it first dropped, and I've been in love with it. I knew there was something special about it from that moment, and then all it took was just a year later, the visual coming through Black is King to just like, I think, really realize a lot of that sound. There's something different to that music, and having an artist like Beyonce bring her vision and bring her connections and just all of that artistry to it, it breathes so much life. I do wonder how the movie's success or at least reception, critical reception, would have looked like had Beyonce released a little bit more footage or something to key us into Black is King a little bit sooner. Not that she had to, not that I necessarily wanted to, but it's like that was what drew me to the franchise. Just the complete music, the soundtrack alone.
Yeah, it is really good. And I do think that people were a little dismissive of it when it first came out, just because of like the Lion King connection, and because of, like you were saying, her album before this, Lemonade, like came out with sort of the visual experience on the same day. I think actually, if I remember correctly, the movie came out first, and then at the end of the movie she was like, and now the album's out there for you to listen to.
Right.
So the album came out on July 19th, 2019. Then June 19th, 2020, Beyonce puts out the single Black Parade for Juneteenth. A month later, July 31st, 2020, in the very middle of the pandemic, Disney Plus released Black is King. And that same day, she put out a new version of The Gift, which didn't have all of those segments and had Black Parade at the end, which is a song that plays over the credits. What we are talking about is sort of the visual album created out of that. Do you want to explain it a little bit more, Emmett, for the people who might not have seen this?
This is wild. I think it basically follows the story of a young child who is set like Moses into a basket in the river and floated away from his home as it's being taken over by a storm of dust. And his mom is Beyonce, but also so is the other lady who finds him out of the bulrushes, and also so is his love interest, it seems like, for most of the movie. So it's not very clear, because the real protagonist of this film is Beyonce. Whatever like story it might be telling, like she might be like kind of weaving in there about Simba, whatever symbology there might be in this film, it is primarily about Beyonce. And it is about her singing a bunch of awesome songs in a bunch of outfits that are truly unbelievable. Truly this is a must see. This is one of, I would say, like the highest rated must see film that we have, as far as just like must be seen to be understood.
Yeah.
Just wandery and not very plot based. Sometimes we're talking about just like Beyonce songs and it feels like a music video, and then sometimes it's a little bit more related to the story about the kid growing up into older Simba, coming home, realizing that he is indeed a king. Yeah, there's that great dance fight sequence, which I think is so kick-ass. Right, I think it's like the second to last song.
Oh, yeah.
And it is just like so cool. But it's really, like, it's beautiful. It feels like it's a celebration of African diaspora sort of like music and clothing styles and just like black people, and it's wonderful.
Absolutely. Let me break down some of the quick stats here. This was directed by Beyonce, as was her visual album for Lemonade, which is sort of the precursor to this, and her documentary Homecoming. And this film was co-directed by Kwasi Forjor, who started as an intern for Beyonce in 2011 and worked his way up, which I thought was awesome. There are also 8 other credited directors, so I'm not going to break them all down, but they're all either music video directors or like visual artists, or this is like their first official credit. It was written by Beyonce, Yrsa Daley Ward, who is a famous Instagram poet,
Whoa.
Clover Hope, who is a music journalist,
Okay.
and Andrew Morrow, who was the editor for Homecoming, her documentary that came out the previous year about her Coachella set.
Okay.
Also, the poetry in the film is written by the British Somali poet Warsan Shire. So sort of between all of the musical numbers, there are like these interstitials, and sometimes you hear audio from the film, and sometimes it's poetry, and sometimes it's snippets of audio from other stuff. Like, it is sort of difficult to describe, but he did all of the poetry in it. This thing runs 1 hour and 25 minutes, which is pretty much par for the course with all the other movies in this series, except for the live action one. It was released July 31st, 2020 on Disney+. It was critically acclaimed, got an 84 on Metacritic. Kat Brown of The Telegraph writes, "And there we were thinking the stage recording of Hamilton was going to be the best thing on Disney Plus this summer. Yes, Hamilton has songs, but does it have motorbikes? Synchronized swimming? Beyonce singing on the moon in diamonds? Naomi Campbell? I haven't even gotten to the poodles."
Oh my god.
Brown Skin Girl from the segment from this won Best Music Video at the 2021 Grammys, and the song Black Parade won Best R&B Performance.
Whoa.
But this did lose Best Music Film to Linda Ronstadt's The Sound of My Voice.
Huh.
Well, Cory, Black is King, flop or bop?
Bop, bop, bibbity bobbity bobbity bop bop bop. Bop, 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 bop. Yes. I love this film. I love it so much. Oh my god.
Emmett, flop or bop?
It's a bop. I would like just project this on the wall of a room 24/7. Like if I lived in a house big enough with like a nice, you know, just like put that up just constantly on repeat. It's beautiful to listen to and to look at, and I don't really know what the story is or what's going on, but it makes me feel really good. So yeah. Wade, flop or bop?
It's a bop for me as well. I love it. I loved it when it came out. I thought it held up just as good as it did a year ago, and having seen it before. Yeah, I just think like the visuals in it are so stunning. Like, it is just staggering to look at. But it is also really beautiful to listen to. Like, I love the songs, and I love how many sort of the other musical guests are in it too, performing their parts, to the point where the very few who don't come, I think, are pretty conspicuous by their absence. I also think that it does like do a pretty good job of telling a narrative, at least. I felt that, like, more than I would have necessarily expected from that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, to speak about like the Lion King of it all, I'm interested to hear what you guys think of this. I thought that it was like a pretty clear story for like the first half, like pretty clearly following all the beats of the Lion King through like like the young prince growing up and losing someone, and like the threatening Scar type figure, and he goes off and we see him live sort of. This is sort of recast like Beyonce and Jay-Z as Timon and Pumbaa, and he's like living in a mansion with them.
Yeah, that part. This is what is strange to me about of all of Beyonce's character changes. It's like she plays many different characters within this fable as the ultimate storyteller. But yeah, she is. I guess they're Timon and Pumbaaing him around.
She's also kind of the Mufasa character. Like, she seems to be like the maternal ancestor and also the narrator. But anyway, I think it's pretty clear up through him sort of growing up, and you see him like living in the city, and that he's still haunted by the vision of what happened, and he hasn't gone back to his homeland and stuff. And then for like the last third, I think I just sort of like totally lose the plot.
Yeah.
Like they just sort of cut to the guy a couple times in like interstitials, but it felt to me at least like very much coherent for the first half, and then just a little more all over, or not even like all over the place, but like it's telling like other stories in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like, I think Beyonce just like gives enough of The Lion King a parallel to where the Disney franchise can be like, this is still The Lion King legally, but, and I feel like maybe, I don't know, they had to negotiate that somewhat. That latter portion definitely, like being black and seeing that and just hearing about how it's her gift to young black men and black women, and really she did it in honor of her son, Sir. It was so cool to see how she brought it back to herself, brought it back to family, and back to like blackness. So I wasn't mad at all by the deviation. I like it offered something different. It kept us kind of guessing because we couldn't really expect, like, yeah, since we've gotten The Lion King thus far, then I guess we'll get The Lion King hereafter. But like, no, here we have something a little bit different. We're gonna embrace this moment and all of these visuals and this music and this culture and this vibe so wholeheartedly and unapologetically, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I was pretty interested by what you mentioned there, that she talked about it being like for her son and sort of specifically for boys, which was interesting to me too. I remember, I think when it came out, the Disney Plus description said like, for young kings watching today. And you see, I think that like the energy of it is mostly feminine, but there also are like so many different like wide-ranging examples of masculinity in it, which I really like noticed a lot this last time.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do both of you guys think about this being sort of intended for boys specifically, young boys watching it?
I think it's really special that you have someone making something specifically for young boys, young black boys who, you know, especially around last year, that was a time we will never forget with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and then still too Breonna Taylor. It wasn't just black men, but it's just in the black community, there is an expectation of black men. There is this, because you have, you know, toxic masculinity, but then in the diaspora, it takes its own form. The toxicity. I mean, I myself have dealt with that and having to meet the standards of society, meet the standards of culture, of religion. And it's just, my favorite quote from the movie is, "You're allowed to come home to yourself." And I think that perfectly encapsulates the message for young black men is, you know, no matter what goes on in these streets, no matter what goes on with the police, what goes on social media, what goes on wherever you are, whether you are, you know, queer, whether you are cisgender, whether you are trans, no matter where you come from, you know, you're allowed to come home to yourself, because it's, you know, it's about finding your way back. It's about seeking the throne that is already yours. That's why I love this album so much, because the titles of these songs and the messages therein are just, it just connects. It's brilliant. It's so brilliant and so deep. Those are my little 2 cents on that.
No, that was beautiful. I mean, I think you're totally right. And I love that. I love that it is so much about like starting with something, losing it, and like being able to find it again eventually in a different way than you had it before. But also like owning all of it. Because
the key is that like it's yours. You know, this kingdom. That's where we really see those parallels with The Lion King, is like the royalty and the fall from that. I think we lose that because how Simba returns home, it looks a little bit different to how we ourselves are returning home. That takes a bit more of like a out of body, a spiritual journey, a personal, emotional journey, and it takes a lot more than, you know, physically returning. It's something that we all have to meet and address, if that makes sense, especially in a society where people are trying to tell us, you know, this is who you're supposed to be, this is who you are, and this is all you'll ever be. It's like, no, you're beautiful.
It's interesting that you say that about like going internal, going on a mind journey, being able to change within yourself. It's like that being what's important, especially in terms of the old Lion King, it being like a change through force, like a change through physicality and violence. That if Simba had like reckoned with Scar in the same way that like this shows to reckon with people, that Lion King 2, that terrible film, would never have had to have happened. because like Simba would have like reconciled himself to whatever it was in Scar that like made them at odds, and he would have been able to live with Scar in a way that Scar was not able to live with him, and like that's what would have made him like truly a king. And I feel like that's what this movie is getting at too. And so there's like one of the many aspects of kingship which this movie is getting at, especially in that last few minutes.
Yeah, at one point he says, taking care of you, that's kingship to me. I wrote that one down.
I also think too, as like, this reminded me a lot of Star Wars in some ways, because it was like, you mentioned that earlier too about like Attack of the Clones, like never since the prequel trilogy has the costume budgets gone so wild. But it's also like never since George Lucas has somebody been like so interested in like the hero's arc in symbolic forms rather than in like necessarily concrete storytelling terms, but it's just like presenting you with raw image and symbol in I think really, really exciting ways visually.
Yeah, and also, I mean, really about like going out and shooting it on location.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this all shot?
Yeah, pretty much all of it. So much of this movie is just about like, look at a beautiful place that exists in real life.
Damn.
And you've got the other Star Wars thing is you've got Tierra Whack with the Padme Amidala headdress at the very end. But yeah, this was shot in 6 months, August to December 19, in Africa, New York, the Grand Canyon, and London.
In the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, some of it was.
Whoa.
It was parts of Spirit. They filmed on a I hope I don't get this wrong, like a Native American sacred land. They were able to respectfully film on that.
Wow.
And I know there was some controversy over that because people are like, "Oh, this is, your gift to Africa, Beyonce. Why are you filming on America? Why are you blah 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 blah?" And it's just, again, nitpicky criticism when it's like, obviously this is a Disney production at the beginning of all of this, so there's nothing but budget, but also you just don't know what the specificities, and the confines and constraints. So I don't know. I didn't have much of a problem with that, or any problem with that at all. It was a beautiful video at the end of the day. Stunning. And I think by them filming in so many places, it sort of represents the diaspora, because that's part of the movie, what the movie is saying. It's returning home. And so in order to get back home, we have to think about where we're at. And so when we have black people all over this world, when we all started in the motherland, I think it's crucial to incorporate aspects of the diaspora. And so I don't know, there's a little bit of symbolism there just in the filmmaking.
Yeah, I feel that too. And it really does feel like such a like variety, like it feels like so many locales, from the big city to like the huge mansions to like the jungle and the forest and the ocean. Like,
I love that circular tower that he goes into at the end where he's levitating inside. That tower is so cool.
Oh yeah.
It's like had an open air courtyard in the middle and a circular.
Okay, so I guess I'll start here. One of the things we've been doing for each of the Lion King movies is saying favorite song. So I want to hear what were some of your favorite numbers for each of you.
Will you read the song list again?
I can.
I just okay. Wait. I'll.
I can look it up. The thing is that they are in a different order on the video than they are on the album. Also, the actual songs are sort of different. Like there's a lot of like remixes and like different versions and like added little interludes and bits in the actual music. But I can, I can walk us through here. So we start with Bigger, which is her on the beach. Then we go to Find Your Way Back, which I
that
believe is
one so good.
Sort of the space one. Don't Jealous Me, which is the one with the man and the snake and the scary song.
Wait, I love that one.
That one's sick.
Similarly, you've got Scar right after it, which I think is like a shorter interlude, which is him taking the throne and like casting the prince out. Then you've got Nile, which is the one with Kendrick Lamar's disembodied voice as Beyonce is sort of by the water. Mood Forever, which is the Jay-Z and Beyonce one in the big mansion. Ja R.A. I don't want to... I feel like I've just made a mockery of this. But that's the one of him in the city.
Okay.
With all the cars, the tricked out ride he's in. Already. Then you've got Water, which is the one with Pharrell in front of the big art installation.
Oh, love that.
Brown Skin Girl, which to me is sort of like the centerpiece of the movie, which is with the debutante balls and sort of all of the famous cameos. Keys to the Kingdom, which is the marriage. Other Side, which is like the one where we weirdly go back to the beginning and she's like got another baby she's putting into the water.
Oh, yeah.
And then we've got My Power, which is like the battle you mentioned earlier, Emmett, and then it ends with Spirit, which is the big closer with the huge chorus and everything.
I think it's got to be My Power. The dancing in that is just, it gets me. The dance fighting. I love a good dance fight. I can't believe it. It's so good.
I really love Nile, just because I love the beat drop in that song, and I think the visual's so clean. Yeah, it's just a really cleverly written song. I love My Power. Brown Skin Girl is really, really awesome. It's hard for me to pin a favorite. Right now, though, I've just been listening to a lot of Nile. Yeah, Water's also really good. That's a good, get out of bed, just kind of start my day. That a lot of this album just helps me start my day for some reason. Like, I'll just turn on Find Your Way Back as I'm walking to and from work. I don't know, it's so invigorating, energetic. And then Other Side, like the first time I saw that, it made me cry because it was just breathtaking. It was just breathtaking. And I think I kind of saw it as a moment of like rebirth, the beginning, the new beginning in a way of finding yourself again. But it was just the saying goodbye, that like tearful exchange that Beyonce had with the child. It was just like stunning. And Black Parade is also just like stellar song. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, like those lyrics too. Oh my God. They are filled with all sorts of nuance and references to just Black culture. And it's a really powerful song. And that is like activism in it's like Nina Simone level to me. That song is so important to last year's events and just to life in general.
Wait, what's your favorite song in this?
It's tough. I think Brown Skin Girl is, in terms of like the visuals, like the one that gets me the most. I love the music for it too, but I think it's just like so gorgeous, and that's the one that makes me like teary every time I hear it, because it just is like so sweet too. And all of the different people in it, and that it's got Lupita Nyong'o, who I know we were also talking about last time, but that she pops up in here pretty like Lupita when the cameras roll in. I love all of that. But I think Spirit is a really good closer. I love like the choral rendition of it that's on here, where she's got this like huge supreme group singing with her. I really like Don't Jealous Me. I think that guy who's like the snake guy on it is very good.
Yeah.
Just like such a scene stealer. And I like Mood Forever too. I've got to say that I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. I know that may be controversial, but Jay-Z is one of my top 5 dead or alive. And he was one of the first rappers that I listened like so much to. And I think his verse here is great, and I think he's so much fun on it. Like, it's so much fun to hear him just clowning around on like a Disney Plus streaming movie, you know?
When he first shows up in the back of the car, I was like, this was real life. This wasn't like They were like, you get exactly 2 hours, and you're going to use every second of footage.
It's such a flex that the first thing he says, like his intro to his verse, is where he goes, "You hear that? That's the sound of the price going up." Because it is. They're on Disney Plus. Like, that is what it is. Oh, man. Well, would anyone like to hazard a guess about who the protagonist of this film is? It's okay if we don't.
Beyonce.
She wants to make a better movie using the Lion King milieu than Disney had just made, and she succeeded in that goal. So I think she was a very successful protagonist.
To touch on the behind-the-scenes drama briefly, that is sort of how this came to be.
Uh-huh.
Which is that while she was prepping for being in The Lion King 2019, Beyonce learned about Solomon Linda, who was the African artist who wrote the beat for The Lion Sleeps Tonight, which they do in The Lion King. So this guy wrote that song, and then they adapted it into The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and they didn't credit him or give him any compensation at any point ever.
Whoa.
So when she heard about that, she was like, no, I am going to tell the story of The Lion King with like real humans and real bodies and not lions and animals. And because of that, his original recording is the only song from The Lion King that is in this movie. None of the other songs are featured. And it is his original recording, so he's like sort of finally getting that compensation 20, 30 years later that he should have gotten at the time.
That's insane.
And I read that Beyonce took her salary, like everything she was paid for the film from Disney, and put it like entirely into the budget, into hiring more people and people of like a higher talent level who couldn't have come at the original budget.
That's how you do it.
That's right. They shot it from August to December 2019. Then they had a version of it done, and then they completely re-edited it after COVID, I guess, to just like refocus it, or I don't really know, but I guess they're just like had a different take on it after COVID and like entirely did a new edit of the movie.
Well, they probably decided the third act twist where there was a plague was not as family friendly anymore, so they cut it down by around 25 minutes.
And then it was reported in June 2020, off the strength of this movie, right before it came out, that Beyonce had signed a $200 million deal with Disney to work on 3 films for them, including doing like a similar soundtrack album for Black Panther 2, and then 2 other films that they're working on. So certainly like a sign of good faith in this.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about this. I don't want to drag us into random topics this late in the episode, but I do feel like Disney Plus kind of buried this a little bit, or just like didn't give it the attention that it deserved.
100%.
Because I feel like this thing was critically acclaimed. Like, you read anyone who has seen it talking about it, and I feel like Disney Plus like didn't promote it enough, didn't like even just literally did not explain what it was. Like, I feel like people didn't know that it was for kids, that it had to do with the Lion King, anything about it. And still, probably to this day, I'm sure lots of people don't, who would be interested in seeing it, you know?
Right. Because it's like the way that they kind of had it up there, it blended in with like kind of the artsy films, that the weird artsy National Geographic films that Disney Plus will have, you know, like, and I don't know, I agree with you. There wasn't much explanation or clarification. I don't think that was any doing of Beyonce or her team, because like it's the Disney Plus streaming platform. Like, you know,
yeah.
It was the Lion King. Like, it was the Lion King. You could have easily just been like, come see this new interpretation of a classic tale. Like, as simple as that. But people are like, what is this? And then they turn it on only to see Beyonce like half naked dancing in like green and red and black paint, which is also very beautiful. But it's like, you have to know what you're getting yourself into a little bit, I guess.
But like, people love The Lion King. I mean, it was the second highest grossing movie of that year before. They love Beyonce. Like, I think if Disney Plus has just been like, here's the Lion King from Beyonce,
Yeah.
it would have had so much more people checking it out.
That's true.
But instead, they promoted the mess out of Mulan. Did y'all see that?
No.
Did you?
No. Didn't really care to. The Christina Aguilera version of Reflection, I was like, okay, interesting choice. Interesting choice. Like, I feel like there were other options there. Like, I know it's not, them, even though it's not Chinese, like, even like a K-pop star, I don't know, some, like, literally anyone but a white woman singing those iconic song. But that movie was so problematic for so many other reasons too. Like,
yeah.
Well, does anyone have a pick here for their MVP, OTB, I'm going to say, your favorite performance in this movie other than Beyonce, from any of the many performers in here? Cory, any thoughts?
wardrobe, costume, hair, makeup, as a collective, they were the real MVPs, because 69 outfits for Beyonce alone, not to mention the background dancers, the singers, just so much iconic. And like, Beyonce is known for setting a lot of trends as far as fashion and hair are concerned. A lot of like the usage of Bantu knots and braids, and like even like the long braid that Beyonce did like a few years ago, like so iconic. It's just to set such a cultural standard in 2.5 hour movement piece, art, film, work, body of work, incredible. So kudos to them.
Emmett, MVP?
So every time somebody new came on screen, I was like, oh, they could be the MVP. That's terribly exciting.
Yeah.
But I will have to, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it to the first person that I said this about. And
Okay.
It's the old lady wearing white with the white hat who's just sitting down, and you just cut to a shot of her just sitting in a chair looking at the camera. She's just like, she just has something about her where you're like, yeah, she's really cool. And yeah, she's my MVP.
I have a bunch too. I think I would give it to, I mentioned him before, but the man with the snake. I was going to say Scar. But I'm not sure. I think he's different than the man who eventually plays like the Scar uncle type. But the guy who sort of invites young Simba into like the treacherous world at the start of Don't Jealous Me.
Yeah.
He's got such a cool swagger.
Mm-hmm.
And a snake. A snake. Dude, there's a part too where the guy who plays Scar is like spitting gold out of his mouth in this really kind of horrifying way.
Oh my God.
An impact on me.
I was legitimately terrified of the moment where like the grass monster is crawling onto the hood of the car.
Yes.
I watched this alone in like the dark of night last night, and I was like truly a little frightened by that. Truly looking like over my shoulder a little bit after that part.
Like, is the grass guy behind me?
Looking a little bit over my shoulder now. I'm all into the dark library. This was a mistake, y'all. What else do we have to say about this film?
We've got the main event. We've got our quiz.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Our game. So I hope you've brushed up a little bit on your Beyonce knowledge, Emmett. Because today we're going to play a return of a fan favorite. We're going to play Go On, Name Them. So how this game works is I'm going to say that there have been a certain number of things. For instance, there are 3 members of Destiny's Child. That is one such thing I could say. At which point, both of you will have the ability to make a bet for how many of them you can name. And they go back and forth. So Cory, you'll bet first. You could say, I can name 1, at which point it'll go to Emmett. He can either raise you because he knows it or because he's bluffing, or he can say, go on, name them, which is what you say whenever you think you're going to get called out for not knowing them. And then the other person has to try and name as many as they can.
Okay, I think I understand. There
are 5 of these, and when someone says go on, name them, if you get them right, you get a point. If you don't, the other person gets a point. So let's see how we do. Number 1, to date, Beyonce has released 6 studio albums as a solo artist. So that is not counting collaborations, soundtracks, EPs, and live albums. How many of the 6 can you name? Cory, we'll start the bidding with you.
I can name all 6.
Go on, name them.
All right, let's hear them.
Dangerously in Love, B-Day, I'm Sasha Fierce, 4, Self-Titled Beyonce, Lemonade.
He's done it. That's 1 point to Cory.
Emmett, are you scared?
I am. I'm not even scared anymore. I'm just certain that you're gonna win.
Well, I think it might be a little more even in some of these others. We'll see.
Okay.
Number 2. To date, Beyonce has starred in 10 films, not counting short films or her visual albums. So to be clear, this is not counting Black is King, Homecoming, Lemonade. This is counting the freebie, The Lion King. So films like The Lion King where she's playing another character, 10 of those. How many of the 10 can you name, Cory?
I can name solid 5.
Emmett?
Go on, name them.
Okay.
Let's hear 'em.
Carmen the Hip Opera, Obsessed,
Yep.
Dreamgirls, Lion King, Austin Powers. That's 5 that I can name right now. The other 5.
The other 5, let me see if I can get them. Beverly Hood,
Never seen it.
The Fighting Temptations, Pink Panther. Did you say the Pink Panther?
I should have.
The Pink Panther, Cadillac Records,
Damn it.
and Epic.
Oh, Epic! Oh, yeah. She was in like 10 minutes of that movie, guys. Do you know that? They were like, Beyonce's in this movie. She died in the first 10 minutes. Spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. If you want to see that movie, literally dies. It's so bad.
Someone was telling me the other day that Cadillac Records is her best performance, that she's really good in it, but I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen it all the way, but I've seen clips. And I'm like, yeah, no, that she actually really acts very well in that movie.
2 points for Cory. Emmett, let's see if you can turn it around here. To date, Disney Plus has released 19 original films, not counting documentaries, short films, or holiday specials, including Black is King. How many of the 19 Disney Plus films can you name?
It's fuzzy because there's a difference between the Disney Plus original versus like, I can't go first. I can't.
Well, you can start it low. I mean, there's no minimum here, really.
I can name one of them.
Okay.
I think I can name 3 of them.
Okay. Cory?
Oh, go on, name them. Please.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Let's see. Artemis Fowl.
That's correct. Remember the name?
Remember the name. Onward?
No, I'm sorry.
Cruella de Vil?
No, you're out. I'm sorry, Emmett. Those are all theatrical movies that came to Disney Plus.
Damn. Okay.
Some other notable ones you could have had: Lady and the Tramp,
Oh,
Noelle, Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made,
Oh my god.
Hamilton, Soul, and Luca, which just came out.
But I thought those were both Pixar.
They were made by Pixar, but they didn't come to theaters. They came just to Disney Plus exclusively. Gotcha. And then, yeah, a bunch of these that I only heard about in Bums the Word, including Magic Camp and Godmothered. Okay, well, we've got 3 points for Cory here. We'll see how this goes. Emmett, I believe you can still at least finish the game with some dignity intact. I'd like to think that.
Perhaps.
To date, Beyonce has released 50 singles as a lead artist over the last 20 years, including 2 from The Gift. Now, this is as a lead artist, so it's not including stuff that she's the featured guest on. For instance, the Savage remix with Megan Thee Stallion. Cory, we'll start with you. How many of the 50 do you want to bet?
I want to bet that I can name 20 of them. Because I'm crazy.
Go on. Name them.
Alright, let's do this.
Okay.
Crazy in Love.
Yep.
Drunk in Love.
Yep.
Formation.
Mm-hmm.
Halo.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yep. That's 5.
Countdown.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Cory. Deja Vu. No.
Yes.
Okay. Ooh.
Yep.
Okay.
It's there.
Sweet Dreams.
Yep.
Oh. I'm not gonna say that one. Love on Top.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. No, don't say that. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. All right. Freakum Dress. Was that a single? It may not be. Oh no.
No, I'm sorry.
I busted on 10. Dang. Okay.
I'm sorry. That's a point for Emmett.
I can't. I'm stunned. I've heard of most of those songs. Could not have named them as singles.
The two from this album were Spirit and Brown Skin Girl. You also could have had Perfect with Ed Sheeran.
Wait, I thought you said without features.
That's her as a leading artist.
Okay. Okay.
It's not so when she is the featured artist on someone else's song, but there are ones of other people featuring on her song.
Oh, so I could have said okay.
Admirable, a good showing.
Thank you.
Okay, and our last one here. To date, Beyonce is tied for second place on the most Grammys won list. She has won 28 Grammy Awards, which is more than any other singer. There are 13 artists on the most Grammys won list, including Beyonce. How many of the 13 do you think you could guess, Cory? And I will say this is Grammy, so this is a hint to both of you. This is not just, as I said, she is the highest singer. Number one is not a singer. So there are producers, there are composers, there are bands. It's a wide-ranging list here.
I think I'm gonna say 3.
3? Okay.
I think I'm gonna say 4.
I'm gonna try to name. Okay, Michael Jackson.
No.
Are you serious?
Sorry.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Bro, no way. Are you serious? So wait, does Emmett have to name it, or it doesn't matter?
No, that's another point for Emmett.
Dang, man.
Yeah, this is the list. So these are all the most Grammys won, but I'm going from the bottom of the list to the most. So in order. Stevie Wonder, Kanye West, U2, Vince Gill.
Who's Vince Gill?
His name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I feel he's a country singer, according to this. Jay-Z, John Williams, Vladimir Horowitz, Chick Corea, Pierre Boulez, Alison Krauss at number 4, Quincy Jones, Beyonce at number 2, and then the only person higher than her is George Solti, who is a British conductor who conducted the Chicago Symphony Orchestra for decades and decades. So I guess that's how he racked up the most.
Well, I guess Beyonce has to dust off her baton so she can beat this guy to the ground. No.
Yeah.
He's got 3 more than her right now.
Oh,
And
she'll beat him. She'll beat him in no time.
Congratulations to Cory, who still pulled it out on the end. And a job well done to both of you here.
Thank you. That was tough. It got a little touch and go there at the end, but
Any final thoughts on Black is King?
stream it. If you haven't seen it, stream it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like to this day, still, like we mentioned before, some people still haven't even seen it. So I'm really glad that we're talking about it, and this is going to be an episode because it's such a beautiful body of work. It's so great. So just go see it if you haven't seen it.
Emmett, any final thought?
100%. It is just so cool. This movie also reminded me a lot of Holy Mountain, which is a crazy movie just in its imagery and a lot of the like symbolic stuff going on. So that was cool. Go watch it. It's there. It's on Disney Plus. What do you have a Disney Plus subscription for? Go watch it.
Yeah, I agree. Go watch it, and it's a really good time too.
Yeah,
it is so fun. It's so well paced. There are a lot of heady themes at play that I'm sure we've talked about, but it is so much fun just to watch. Yeah, so go check it out. Let me see. Anything else I want to say? Donald Glover should have been there. What was he doing? I mean, really.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
They've got this painting of Donald Glover. Like, I understand that Kendrick Lamar isn't there either. I know Kendrick Lamar has been doing his absentee dad thing for the last 4 years. So that makes a little more sense. But, like, what do we think Donald Glover was doing? I'm sure he could have come out for a day to do his bridge of the song, you know?
Something.
I also want to say, and I hope this isn't reductive anyway, but this is also definitely the sexiest movie we have ever talked about on this podcast.
For sure.
It's like unspeakably sexy.
I mean, the only thing that even ranks close to it is the first Lion King, so... When those cats are just on each other, man.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, you might have to cut that part, too.
After you and Ruben's digressions into The Lion King 2.
You were deranged during Lion King 2.
Oh, man. Well, Cory, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having
honored
me.
to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure is mine, man.
Anywhere the people can find you online, anything you want to plug, hear more Beyonce thoughts.
Yeah, you can follow me and all of my Beyonce standum on Instagram at Cory of My Life. That is Cory, Cory. No E. Don't make life too hard on yourself. And it is also that on Twitter, Cory of My Life, at Cory of My Life. Twitter, I like Twitter a lot more than Instagram. I am a little bit more mature on Twitter, so be mindful of that. You might see some, slightly inappropriate memes there. But other than that, I'm just chilling. I'm vibing. I work at a restaurant on a boat. If you're ever in the NYC area, go to Grand Banks, get some oysters.
Hey.
That sounds
We have
too
sustainable,
cool.
sustainable in quotation marks seafood. I know that's really controversial, but
that
it's really
they're
good.
grown on the bottom of the boat. Just every day.
We get our scallops fresh from the Hudson. No, I don't. It's crazy. All right, guys.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Friday. We're going to rank these Lion King movies and reveal what our next series is. So
Yeah.
hang tight for that.
Yeah. Good night. Much
Yeah.
love. Stay safe
Buenas
out there.
noches.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Cinema Bums is a production of DKG Podcasts. It is created and produced by Emma Temple and me, Wade Lawrence Holloman. I also edit and mix the podcast. Our theme music is by Zane Holloman, who you can find on Bandcamp, and our show art is by Autumn Beckner. Our social media is managed by Laura Bennett. If you like what you hear, please tell all your friends, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, the 2 best ways to spread the word about our work. You can also follow us on Instagram at CinemaBums or email us at cinemabumspod@gmail.com. Don't flake on us. We'll be back next week.